For our next list, we look at some of the weirdest characters you can find in A Link to the Past. We're the Owners of Triforce. Enjoy! Over in the Dark World, you see that people change their appearances, like yourself, when they turn into a bunny. Most of these turn into something that has eyes and everything, but this guy is now a hand. A pretty big one too. He will actually tell you a profitable story, even though I can't see a mouth anywhere in him, and that's pretty weird. If you jump down that hole outside the house where the blacksmiths live, in the light world, you'll find some kind of an altar or something. If you use the magic powder, you'll awaken a bat. At first he seems pretty angry about being awakened, but he's kinda mixed between a good and a bad guy. He wants to get his revenge for being awakened, but first he has to ask if that's okay with you. And the punishment isn't really that bad, it's actually helpful. The magic you before used is now reduced by half, meaning you have the double amount of magic without the meter getting any bigger. Oh, and he'll laugh at your misfortune. Then poof! He's never to be seen again. What a weird little guy. These two are the first ones you encounter in the Dark World. My first question was, what are they doing up here? The next, why is that guy a ball? And why is he getting kicked around by that other kid? And still looks happy. Well, this might not be that weird considered you're a bunny at the time, but what makes these guys even weirder is their appearance in the light world. I mean, in the credits, you can see them both running around in their normal form. As it turns out, they didn't really change that much. They're both almost just as ugly as they were in the Dark World, except that the little ball actually got his body back. This guy freaks me out. Again, we are in the Dark World and blah blah blah. First of all, his face looks scary. He's got no eyes and his head looks like a dead skull. He's a nice guy, however, but when you start the arrow game, his head moves from side to side. That's weird, first of all, but what really freaked us out about him is that every time you hit one of those Octoroks, he starts banging his little drum thing. If I was Link, I would shit my pants where I stood. This is actually the guy that the hand guy talked to you about. To get one of the bottles, you have to drag a chest that's inside the destroyed blacksmith's house in the Dark World down to the lockpicker, use the mirror to get into the light world, and get him to open it for you, since he was a Master Locksmith and is now hiding the fact that he used to be a thief disguised as a middle-aged man. There's nothing especially weird about him then, but what's weird is the whole thing before you do this. You can find him very early in the game, at the same place next to a sign. If you try to speak to him, he won't say anything. The sign says, pay no attention to the middle-aged man standing by the sign. Leave him alone. Which is odd enough. But if you pick up his sign, he'll start following you around without saying a word. And when you throw the sign away, he'll open his mouth and start complaining about you taking his sign. But he'll continue following you around silently. Weird.